Yo, what it is, YouTube? It's your boy. It's your boy. Fuck, man. It's your boy, Nissy, coming back with another bullseye of a tutorial here today on the channel. So I wanted to do one of my favorite artists on my playlist right now. He's got features with Future, 50 Cent, and a lot of big rappers right now. Eladio CARRION. I wanted to do a vocal template for him today and talk about a little bit of it's still rap, it's still trap, but in a different language, the power of music. Music doesn't give a damn about your skin color, where you're from, your gender. It don't care. The music gonna touch you, and that's what his music been doing lately. Even though I'm not Spanish, even though I grew up with a lot of Spanish people, I am from South Florida, like near Miami. So I grew up with a lot of Mexicans, all types of different Spanish people. So I understand the language a little bit. And today I wanted to talk about that vocal style that is so amazing. Like even if you're making like English speaking rap, you could still learn something from what these people are doing right now. That's the beauty of music. And that's how I see it pretty much, you know? So if you guys are interested in getting this Eladio template, go ahead and check it out down below. You can get it. And also if you want to see any different type of artists down below, drop it. I'm more than happy to get to it. So this kind of started when one of my subscribers said, hey, there's this Colombian artist that you should do, like that's in my country. Like this guy literally like had so much confidence to say, Nick, I think you can even do a Colombian artist. So that kind of inspired me. So I'm going to try to do like a Latin trap vocal tutorial today and push myself. That's what you need to do as a musician, as an engineer, as a beat maker, as a rapper. Don't ever get comfortable. Push yourself, you know, push yourself not only as a musician, but push yourself as a human being to be better every single damn day. So let's not waste no time. Let's get to listening to a little bit of this music. Let's listen to how close I was to the artist.
Cuatro goles, 2 AP, young rich nigga como Mbappé. Young rich nigga, mírame el paté. Young rich nigga, con un check. 4 goles, 2 AP, young rich nigga como Mbappé. Young rich nigga, mírame el paté. Young rich nigga, con un check. 4 goles, 2 AP, young rich nigga como Mbappé. Young rich nigga, mírame el paté. Young rich nigga, con un check. 4 goles, 2 AP, young rich nigga como Mbappé. Young rich nigga, mírame el paté. Young rich nigga, con un check. 4 goles, 2 AP, young rich nigga como Mbappé. Young rich nigga, mírame el paté. Young rich nigga, con un check.
Woo! And of course, with 100% accuracy, we hit it. Yo hablo español poquito now. Don't get me fucked up, y'all. Okay, let's go over this vocal sauce today. So this is how you get that mainstream vocal sauce. And you guys, like I'm telling you, keep your mind open. This Latin trap sound is amazing. He even got a feature with Future, so go check his music out. He's a dope ass artist, and he kind of inspired me because he reminds me of why I love making music so much, because it breaks boundaries. It breaks the boundaries. I'm like, damn, like I don't understand what the hell he's saying, but I just feel this bit. Like I just really feel this bit. And on top of that, you know, the song is called Mbappe. And growing up as a kid, you know, like Mbappe is the same exact age as me. So as a kid, I was like, man, I used to play FIFA, and I remember I used to be playing with Mbappe, and I see Mbappe like become this really big this really big soccer player. And I'm like, damn, I love Mbappe so much. I love this song. Like, man, I got to do a video. So let's listen to it, what it sounds like with and without the chain. I'm going to show you how you get those crispy, saucy, mainstream vocals. So let's not waste no time. I'm going to bypass it in and out real fast.
4 goles, 2 AP, young rich nigga como Mbappé. Young rich nigga, mírame el paté. Young rich nigga, con un check. 4 goles, 2 AP, young rich nigga como Mbappé. Young rich nigga, mírame el paté. Young rich nigga, con un check. 4 goles, 2 AP, young rich nigga como Mbappé. Young rich nigga, mírame el paté. Young rich nigga, con un check. 4 goles, 2 AP, young rich nigga como Mbappé.
So yeah, that's why I'm really interested in this type of Latin sound. You know, they like to use that hairy Tory Lanez reverb, and let's just go over it right away. I am going to dive right into this. So with his voice, you know, interestingly enough, he's kind of got like a kind of like a deep voice. But when I'm thinking about somebody like his music, he has like a very smooth type of, like he's got a very type of smooth sound. So that's what I was going for, a smooth vocal. I actually don't have the 2-track instrumental. I only have just a straight up vocal today. So yeah, let's just go over it really quickly. So I wrote off a little bit of the lows on his vocal, and I was kind of playing it off with the cue of the filter. You see like the shape of the low filter right here, because he was doing like like he has that little ball of water in his mouth a little bit. Sounds like he's like underwater a little bit. That cloggy frequency, if you take it out, you don't have to boost the top if you can just take out a little bit of that to, you know, clear up. Kind of like if you get sick and you take medicine, it clears up your sinuses. That's kind of what this EQ move is. And then I boosted just a little bit of top for the presence overall, for the wispiness in his voice is what I would say. So let's listen to it with and without.
4 oli, 2 AP, young rich nigga como Mbappé, young rich nigga mírame el pate, young rich nigga con un check. 4 oli, 2 AP, young rich nigga como Mbappé, young rich nigga mírame el pate, young rich nigga con un check. 4 oli, 2 AP, young rich nigga como Mbappé, young rich nigga mírame el pate, young rich nigga con un check. 4 oli, 2 AP, young rich nigga como Mbappé, young rich nigga mírame el pate, young rich nigga con un check.
So as you can kind of pay attention, like before we put on the EQ, it sounded like he had a flu. He was sick, like he was under the weather, like he was like, you know, just not feeling too good. So I use the EQ in a certain way to kind of like declog the vocal, to make it feel like his sinuses or allergies or something like that just kind of came out, and now he could talk clearly. Now he's breathing properly. I want the vocal to breathe properly, so that's why I did the EQ that way. And then after that, I had a little de-esser, and of course, usually with the de-essers, I only like to use like maybe 1 or 2 de-essers, really just to not even have it be audible. I just want it to be very smooth. Luckily, his voice, when you have a deep voice, your voice doesn't really have too much like high-end, high frequencies, so you could get away with not doing too much de-essing because his vocal literally doesn't have that much high-end energy. So let's look.
4 oli, 2 AP, young rich nigga como Mbappé, young rich nigga mírame el pate, young rich nigga con un check. 4 oli, 2 AP, young rich nigga como Mbappé, young rich nigga mírame el pate, young rich nigga con un check. 4 oli.
So barely, hardly working. You wouldn't even think that the de-esser was even in the room. If the de-esser was a thief and it walked into a building, it could take everything because it's so quiet, like a little mouse, just a little peep, take that little S off, and that's it. So after that, we had something like the RVox, and when I listen to Eladio's vocal, I always think of bigness, size. You know, he doesn't really like to do too much background vocals from the songs I've heard. So usually you want like a sturdy lead vocal, and the RVox does that. So I use the gate, of course, to just tighten up his vocal a little bit, just to make it sound a little bit tight. So he like when he's doing all those little transitions in between the words, it kind of starts to sound a little bit you know, audible, you know. And after that, you know, we have something like the RVox, the compressor, which just gives that little bit of that body. Somebody asked me what's a good alternative to the CL1B, and in my opinion, the CL1B, the RVox sounds like the CL1B to me, because when you push it, it gives the body, but it also gives a little bit of brightness in the vocal. So let's listen.
4 oli, 2 AP, young rich nigga como Mbappé, young rich nigga mírame el pate, young rich nigga con un check. 4 oli, 2 AP, young rich nigga como Mbappé, young rich nigga mírame el pate, young rich nigga con un check. 4 oli, 2 AP, young rich nigga como Mbappé, young rich nigga mírame el pate, young rich nigga con un check.
It kind of brings back a little bit of the woolliness that we lost when we were doing this EQ move. Now you got to understand, when you do an EQ move like this, if you overdo it, you will start to lose the power. Your vocal will become like a car that has no gasolina, no nothing in it. It won't be able to, you know, really drive the mix, essentially. So I use the RVox to bring back a little bit of that body, you know, a little bit of that ruggedness, but I'm doing it through compression and not EQ. So it's multiple ways of approaching it. After that, I use something like the C4 for Eladio's vocal, and of course I was just kind of like treating this like a ice cream, you know. I'm scooping out the low mids, you know. In the process I'm scooping out the low mids, I'm taking out the sweetness and I'm bringing it up front, essentially. So let's listen to what it sounds like with and without.
4 oli, 2 AP, young rich nigga como Mbappé, young rich nigga mírame el pate, young rich nigga con un check. 4 oli, 2 AP, young rich nigga como Mbappé, young rich nigga mírame el pate, young rich nigga con un check. 4 oli, 2 AP, young rich nigga como Mbappé, young rich nigga mírame el.
So before I use something like that C4, it kind of sounded like Eladio's vocal was sleeping on a bed, like it had a pillow over it. But as soon as I came in and brought that ice cream scooper, right, this one specifically right here in that low mid, that ice cream scooper just pulled out all of the sweetness of his vocals, scooped it out like a spoon, and now you hear like, oh man, like this sounds so clear and so crispy and so mainstream and everything like that. Let's pay attention to it one more time. And I do have the high frequency limiter, but that's kind of working like a de-esser just a little bit, you know, because my first de-esser wasn't doing too much work. Now this de-esser is kind of like the lazy brother. You know, they not all doing that much work. They only just doing a little bit here, a little bit here. One is like mopping the floor just a little bit. The other one's wiping the table just a little bit. And, you know, they're all contributing equally to making the vocal smooth in the top end.
4 oli, 2 AP, young rich nigga como Mbappé, young rich nigga mírame el pate, young rich nigga un con un check.
I could even say that something like this is like the shovel, you know, I'm taking the dirt out of the low end of his vocal, you know. Okay, so after that, we had something like the CLA 76 for Eladio's vocal, and I just love how dark and deep and G5. The beat for Mbappe, it reminds me of something like a mafia type of movie. So if I'm already thinking that before I even mix, I know I have to go for something dark with my compression. Let that music talk to you. When you think of the mafia, what do you think of? Don't you think of somebody dark and mysterious in a black suit? Or do you think of somebody all happy and all friendly? No. So when you hear the inside the beat, it makes me think of darkness. It makes me think of the mafia. It makes me think of the gang. It makes me think of nighttime. So that's why I picked the CLA 76, because wow, it's black and it sounds dark. Wow, who would have known? So yeah, let's listen to what it sounds like with and without.
4 oli, 2 AP, young rich nigga como Mbappé, young rich nigga mírame el pate, young rich nigga un con un check. 4 oli, 2 AP, young rich nigga como Mbappé, young rich nigga mírame el pate, young rich nigga un con un check. 4 oli, 2 AP, young rich nigga como Mbappé, young rich nigga mírame.
So mostly what I'm doing on purpose is I'm pushing the output of that 76. I understand that the CLA 76, it has a certain part inside of it that will give it the body. That's called the transformer. So I'm pushing the output on purpose. It's a little bit louder on purpose. You have to use these analog plugins to your advantage because they do have a little bit of secret drippy sauce to them. All of them do. You just have to pay attention. Okay, cool. Then I had a really slow attack, letting all up Mbappe, letting the plosives come through. People say, you gotta get rid of the plosives, but that's not true. That's what makes the vocal sound real. That's what makes it connectable. That's what makes it relatable. That's what makes it feel like he's talking in front of you. And when he's talking in front of you, now it feels like real life. I had somebody come into my video and say, oh, I don't want my vocals to sound like real life. You don't have a good life. But the thing about making music is that you gotta always try to make it sound as real as you can, because when you make it sound real, it's not a song. It's an experience. Which one do you think people will like more? A song that they can listen to on their ears, or of course it's a song, or experience like, oh man, like I feel that Mbappe, rich nigga, Mbappe. Like now it's an experience. Now it's kind of like the rest of their life, because life is mostly experiences. You know, when you grow up as a little kid, you have an experience of walking. You have an experience of your first kiss. You have all these experiences of driving. You have experiences of getting fight. Life is all about experiences. But one thing about experiences is that you never forget those experiences, right? So if you can make your song into an experience, people will never forget you. They will always keep being reminded of your song over and over and over again. And that's what you want, because that's how you really get to 1 million plays. People keep playing the song over and over and over again. So you guys, you know, don't be stupid. Don't be stupid. Don't try to follow the rules. Making music has no rules, only guidelines. Okay, so next thing that we have here is going to be the SSL EV2, and I picked this one over the regular SSL E channel just because it has the mic pre in it. So I only pushed the mic pre just a little hair to give it a little bit more distortion, because if he's rapping so smooth, I don't want it to feel like a pillow. I don't want it to be too soft. I definitely do want it to have a little hair on it, a little frill, you know, a little bit of bite to it, just so that the listener can know that he's going hard, you know, like something that is hard has a little bit of harshness. So if you want your vocals to go hard, but the rapper is rapping all smooth, like a pillow or a teddy bear, then you might want to add a little bit of hardness with something like distortion, a little mic pre, just a little hair, just a little bit, not too much, just a little sprinkle of salt, a little sprinkle of pepper. After that, we have something like the compression as well. And I'm gonna play what it sound like with and without. Come on.
4 oli, 2 AP, young rich nigga como Mbappé. Young rich nigga, mírame el paté. Young rich nigga, con un check. 4 oli, 2 AP, young rich nigga como Mbappé. Young rich nigga, mírame el paté. Young rich nigga, con un check. 4 oli, 2 AP, young rich nigga como Mbappé. Young rich nigga, mírame el paté. Young rich nigga, con un check. 4 oli, 2 AP, young rich nigga como Mbappé. Young rich nigga, mírame el paté. Young rich nigga, con un check. 4 oli, 2 AP, young rich nigga como Mbappé. Young rich nigga, mírame el paté. Young rich nigga, con un check.
And I also specifically picked something like the SSL V2 because it has the brown circuit. So back in the days when it was on the SSL board, there was literally like a brown knob and a black knob. And what they literally could do is switch out the knob and like a little pan pot type of thing. They could switch out the circuitry for the lower end filter. So that's pretty interesting to know as well. And I use the gate to help that blah, blah, blah. Like this little flow right here, this little transitional flow. I use the gate to enhance it a little bit. Pay attention to this right here, like blip, blip, blip. You can hear it a little bit more. It sounds a little bit more spitty. And that's kind of what I wanted with Eladio's vocal. Even though it's a smooth vocal, I don't want it to be too smooth. You know, I don't want it to be too soft. I want it to still have a little bit of movement, a little bit of edge to it. You know what I mean?
4 oli, 2 AP, young rich nigga como Mbappé. Young rich nigga, mírame el paté. Young rich nigga, con un check. 4 oli, 2 AP, young rich nigga como Mbappé. Young rich nigga, mírame el paté. Young rich nigga, con un check.
Because I wanted to bring out that pate, I wanted to bring that out a little bit. So that's important to also understand the language. You know, I've actually mixed like, I actually literally have songs in Spanish that I've done. And that's only just because, like, you know, I just like to learn different languages. Like I said, a lot of my best friends are Mexicans and stuff. So yeah, I actually have like a couple of songs literally in Spanish because that's just how I taught myself, you know. And because the music is talking to me, because I know Eladio has a lot of swag, a lot of chill, laid back type of sound, I went with something like the J37 tape. And tape is known for having that smoothing type of, you know, roundness that really complements his voice because he's already swagging with his voice and everything. I brought in something like a J37 tape to enhance it, to give it a little bit more smoothness, a little bit more laid backness. And I like this because it helps, you know, if you use a J37 tape on your mixes, you know, it will help also the vocal fall back into the 2-track beat a little bit better. So let's listen.
4 oli, 2 AP, young rich nigga como Mbappé. Young rich nigga, mírame el paté. Young rich nigga, con un check. 4 oli, 2 AP, young rich nigga como Mbappé. Young rich nigga, mírame el paté. Young rich nigga, con un check. 4 oli, 2 AP, young rich nigga como Mbappé. Young rich nigga, mírame el paté. Young rich nigga, con un check. 4 oli, 2 AP, young rich nigga como Mbappé. Young rich nigga.
So also, depending on what type of tape formula you use, some of the tape formulas have like a bump in the low end a little bit, so you might want to use the filter. But the one I picked was the red one. That's kind of like pretty neutral, and you know, it didn't really add no more low end to Eladio's vocals. Some of the other ones will add more body to the vocal, and that's not what you want with somebody who has a deep voice. You got to pay attention. If he's got a deep voice, I'm gonna make sure I pay attention to making sure that doesn't get too out of hand. If it's rap music and boom 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 boom, the bass is already hitting hard, maybe you should listen to the bass of the rapper, like the bass in his voice, to make sure those two aren't clashing. Okay, so yeah, that's something to be aware of. And then also I use something like the Fresh Air. I love it because it just makes it sound so mainstream. It just makes me think, like, if you don't have a C800 and you can make your vocal sound smooth and put the Fresh Air at the end, it will give you that crispiness.
4 oli, 2 AP, young rich nigga como Mbappé. Young rich nigga, mírame el paté. Young rich nigga, con un check. 4 oli, 2 AP, young rich nigga como Mbappé. Young rich nigga, mírame el paté. Young rich nigga, con un check. 4 oli, 2 AP, young rich nigga como Mbappé. Young rich nigga, mírame el paté. Young rich nigga, con un check.
Okay, so after that, really quickly, we don't have nothing really special after that. You know, when it comes to the effects, just everything is pretty normal, like a regular delay. But I did want to talk about this Tory Lanez reverb that I made. So what I used is the CLA 76 with no compression, right? And I used it as a saturator. I used it as a color box, right? And I pushed it hard. Pay attention to how that red light is turned on. So now that the red light is turned on, I'm getting distortion. Distortion is not a bad thing. You just got to know how to use it. Digital distortion, analog distortion, you got to know how to use it to your advantage. But I used it to get that hairy Tory Lanez reverb, that little hairy reverb. It sounds like the reverb got an afro or it got long hair or something like that. It's got a little bit of hair to it. It's got a little tail to it. So let's listen to what the CLA 76 sounds like with and without. And the compression is turned off. So this is another way to get that Tory Lanez mainstream, the R&B, pop type of Latin trap reverb.
4 oli, 2 AP, young rich nigga como Mbappé, young rich nigga mírame el pate, young rich nigga con un check, 4 oli, 2 AP, young rich nigga como Mbappé, young rich nigga mírame el pate, young rich nigga con un check, 4 oli, 2 AP, young rich nigga como Mbappé, young rich nigga mírame el pate, young rich nigga con un check.
Okay, yeah, so pretty much I just used the CLA 76 to distort it, and also on the way in, pay attention to my dampening as well. So I'm just like reverberating all the high frequencies, so that's helping it give that little buzz. Without the CLA 76 in front of it, it sounds like the reverb is naked. It sounds like it don't got no clothes on. It sounds like a little baby with no hair on his body. But then when you bring in the CLA 76, now it feels like a behemoth. It feels like a Sasquatch. It feels like a big old barefoot. It got hair all over its body. Now you can really hear him like, damn, that thing is huge. So okay, after that we just have the ad-libs really quickly. Let me just show you guys the ad-libs.
4 oli, 2 AP, young rich nigga como Mbappé, young rich nigga mírame el pate, young rich nigga con un check, 4 oli, 2 AP, young rich nigga como Mbappé, young rich nigga mírame el pate, young rich nigga con un check, 4 oli.
All right, and with the ad-libs really fast, I was just looking for a situation to complement Eladio's voice. I know his voice is very deep, and kind of like there was a lot of activity going on with the beat anyway, so I didn't want to do something that had a little bit too much, taking away too much attention from the lead vocal, so I kept it really simple. And that's what sometimes you got to do as an engineer. You got to know when to give them something crazy, a festival, or when you guys just got to give them something basic, something bland. So yeah, we had this EQ right here just kind of cleaning up the ad-libs. Then after that we had an RVox, pushing the gate and everything like that. Then we had the SSL EV2 again, and yeah, we were using the black one, the black knob this time, so using a little bit of contrast. Lead vocal got brown, the background vocals is black on the low end, so that helps also give a little bit of separation, not just the frequencies, not just the dynamics, but also like the tone, the character, the CLA 76. And I was pushing it with the fast attack just to really clip off the top of the ad-libs. So I didn't want the ad-libs to have no punch. I want them to sit back. So usually the attack is like the distance. If you want to set it back a little bit more, have a faster attack.
4 oli, 2 AP, young rich nigga como Mbappé, young rich nigga mírame el pate, young rich nigga con un check, 4 oli, 2 AP, young rich nigga como Mbappé, young rich nigga mírame el pate, young rich nigga.
All right, and so my release was also a little bit slow as well, just because I wanted the ad-libs to rock back a little bit. If he's a swagging rapper, I want the ad-libs to swag with him too. You move, I move, just like that. Okay, then after that, we had something like the SSLE, just doing some distortion on the ad-libs.
4 oli, 2 AP, young rich nigga como Mbappé, young rich nigga mírame el pate, young rich nigga con un check.
Just adding more color onto the ad-libs. And then last thing, just the reverb, just to make the reverb sound a little different, I put a meta flanger into this hall reverb.
4 oli, 2 AP, young rich nigga como Mbappé, young rich nigga mírame el pate, young rich nigga con un check, 4 oli, 2 AP, young rich nigga como Mbappé, young rich nigga mírame el pate, young rich nigga con un check, 4.
So I really like that phaser, that meta flanger coming in, because it kind of just gives a whole new type of wave. It's kind of like I'm at the beach and I start paddling the water into a different direction. That's what the reverb is. The reverb is the water, but then the meta flanger, you see right here how this is moving. I'm taking the water in my hands and I'm paddling it in a different direction. So yeah, that's pretty much the end of the video that I have here today. If you guys did enjoy this video, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe down below. If you got any different suggestions for any different artists, I'm more than happy to get to it.